Really quickly, Jane, how?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Raw Truth podcast. We are all back this week. I am post show now. Jane is 5 weeks out, and Sammy's just loving her off season. So
Yep.
today we are going to go over my prep and how it went this year, and talk a little bit more about Jane's prep as well. Just get a little update there. So we just want to give you guys some insight into that of how things went, updates on that post show, all the things. But let's, we were chatting for a while before we got on the podcast. So you can guys tell the listeners, I guess, what's new with you guys?
Sure. I took a week and I went and visited some family, which was fun. My parents are south, which is in a warmer spot than where I'm at. So it was good. Met new friends at a gym there, which was always fun, and then I also had a little graduation ceremony for a coaching certification I got earlier this year that was in Atlanta. So that all happened within the past 2 weeks. Otherwise, I am grinding here 5 weeks out, really 4.5 weeks from my first NPC show. I know.
Yay.
I'm excited. I feel really good. To be honest, like in terms of prepping, this is probably one of the best preps that I've gone through. And I think it's because I did take a really long off season. It doesn't mean that it's easy. It's not easy, but I generally feel good with my overall shape. And I used to have some anxiety going into preps because I didn't feel like I had built enough muscle, and I definitely feel like I have at this point. So that's all exciting. But we can chat about that in a little bit. But overall, everything's good. Moving and grooving with clients and the business, and just really hoping to help people navigate the holidays here. November and December here are big months for people to indulge and do all the things. And that's a big part of health in terms of like your relational, emotional health. And so I want to make sure that I support that as well as people's nutrition journey. Sammy?
I love that you're, the holidays, November, December, it comes up and there's just so many back to back where I feel like a lot of times people, including us back in the day, like just fall off track because it's like, oh, it's the holidays. But, obviously we need to help guide them and help kind of reel them in, obviously still enjoy with moderation, but like you said, just be mindful and everything like that. I think that's important. So I'm also going to be posting some things like that too. And you gave me that idea. So thank you. But let's see, the last 2 weeks, gosh, you guys, being a dog mom, like I swear I'm not exaggerating, like it is rough. Like I thought I was ready for this life, and I'm like, man, this is like birth control right here. So but I love him so much. He's such a good dog, but now he has like he's only been with me for like 3 months, and now he has like health issues. So kind of sucks. Like he has something going on with his spine, which he can't like walk. His like back legs are like wobbly and weak. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, here's all my money. I was like, you're spoiled. He's getting PT before I even get PT or acupuncture. Yeah, I'm like, thank God I have dog insurance. But so I'm gonna try that out. I mean, otherwise I don't really know what to do for him. I guess he's just gonna have to waddle until something happens. But yeah, so I've kind of been doing that. It's been taking a lot of my time, but then focusing a lot more like on clients again, and learning to live a balanced lifestyle in this off season is so weird for me. But it's been fun. It's been really fun. And, I got to enjoy like some holidays. I got to enjoy like special occasions with friends. And, I feel like I've been doing a lot of fun things like that I have never really been able to do without feeling guilty. So that was really cool to kind of like be aware of and be mindful of. And now I'm kind of like to that point where I'm like, okay, you know what? I had my fun. Like we're good. I'm going to get right back on track, and I'm ready to crush these next 2 months, and then, hopefully start a prep come January or February, and then just keep killing it with clients.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, I am now about a week and a half post show, and I feel just fucking fantastic. Like,
thank God.
Literally.
We got energy.
The Monday after I got back from Florida, you guys, I was like, or like it was Tuesday because we flew back on Monday. That Tuesday, I was like, my brain was like, boop, 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 like spitting off ideas. And I was just like hyper and like happy and like ready to go, and like cardio didn't suck. And I was
I
like,
can tell right now, just with your energy levels, you are a completely different person.
yes, 100%. But I also, which we'll talk about in the episode today, I like just jumped my food up. I was like, fuck waiting. I was like, I'm hungry. I need to eat. And it's been really, really good. And then this last weekend, I traveled again I went to Manassas, Virginia for the American Pro powerlifting meet because my friend was competing there, and she didn't make weight, unfortunately, but she was going to make like, so she still got to lift. She just was considered like a guest lifter. But she hit like PRs. Like, it's a really, really big meet in the powerlifting world. So it was fun to see some really big lifts. Like, we saw like a dude squat like 950 raw in just sleeves. And then
That's
like
insane.
another dude pulled like an all-time world record deadlift. Like, it was fun. And just, I got to meet my training coach Ryan in person too. So that was fun. Got to train together because he had an athlete there too. So got to see a bunch of friends like from the powerlifting world that I haven't seen in a while. So it was nice to like really just like switch things up from bodybuilding and just go into powerlifting and just be like, oh, I miss this. And
That's cool that you have both worlds.
it's fun. It's definitely like I fit into both in like a weird way, I guess you could say, like, but and we're gonna incorporate more like squat, bench, deadlift into training and off season again too, which I'll talk about, which I'm excited for. I got to squat this week, which was fun. Haven't squatted in like 6 months, but it felt awesome. And then yeah, it's snowed here already, so we have snow in Fargo, so it's cold.
That's insane. My mom sent me a picture. She's back in Wisconsin, and I'm like, yep, that's why I'm staying here.
Oh,
I'm like, this is my last winter here. I'm like, one more winter, Kayla, just one more. So it's been really good. But yeah, I guess we can kind of just start from there and just like, I guess, where do you guys want to start with prep?
recap your season. This is your first pro season. So tell us, how long did you prep for? I know you did 2 shows. Talk us through your prep.
So all in all, like my prep, like officially, I guess, was like 24 weeks. So about 6 months.
Okay.
So it was long. And initially Jason wanted to take like a slower approach because of the like hormone issues and like cortisol. Like, I'm very cortisol dominant. So I know you guys know that, but like the listeners, if you guys have never heard of that, like when I train, I love to train. And like, because I'm so small, of what Ryan and I kind of figured out, because he saw it too, is that because I'm so little, like a small person, but like I can lift like more, if not the same as like a normal average size person. And so it's just really hard on my central nervous system. So we have to kind of really watch that. And when that happens, my cortisol goes up and then everything just goes to shit, basically. So that's where I've gone wrong in the past. And so Jason wanted to take a little more conservative approach. So that way we could take diet breaks in between and rest when I need to. So his like template, I guess, that we followed was every 5th week, we take like a diet break and deload. So we wanted more time, and especially because I had to gain more weight this off season. So I had more weight to lose. So I probably lost, let's see, I was about like 138. And then I was on stage at about, my lowest was like 108. So I lost like 30 pounds total.
Wow.
You're a small.
Yeah. And for those listening or watching, I'm 4'9" and like, yeah, I can't tell you like my average weight because it always is changing.
It's always up and down.
Yeah. But like stage weight, at San Antonio, so my first pro show, I was about 115 on stage. And then for Hurricane, which was the second show, I ended up being about 110 on stage. So 5 pounds difference, and it definitely helped. But we can go over like feedback later on and whatnot. So I guess like, where should I go from there?
So, okay, so explain a little bit more about your diet breaks and like your cortisol. Like how did he kind of, handle that in your prep, and like did it work? How did you feel on them?
So diet break, basically what we did is we just, wherever I was at with like my macros, he just would just be like, okay, add 60 carbs to your training and rest days this week. So we just bump it a little bit. So each diet break, it got like less and less food, but towards the end, and then like towards about like 4 weeks out or so, we kind of just listen to biofeedback on like, did I really need the whole week? Because I wasn't quite like conditioned enough where I wanted to be either. So I was like, kind of like, and this is where my feedback came into place. And I was like, like, do I really need the whole week? Like, can we adjust things a little bit? And so we adjusted it that way, but that was kind of like the main like outline, I guess you could say. So then with training, we dropped HIT, and then scaled back training to about like RPE 8, which Ryan, my training coach, he would help me with that. We still kept volume up, but it wasn't anything crazy, but just more so able to keep moving relatively heavy, but just decreased a little bit of like accessory volume.
So do both of you guys feel like clients, like all clients should do that? I mean, granted, every client is different, right? Everybody's body's response different, but do you think like diet break, obviously in it, like if you're not competing, we should take diet breaks. Those are good to do, especially if you've been dieting for so long. Let's just say somebody does, so the longer the prep, you should probably do a diet break, if you're having a long prep, but let's just say someone's doing a 12-week prep, do you recommend doing diet breaks in there? Or
I would say, it's good to have kind of like, as the coach, to have like an idea about like this person, and working with them prior is always helpful. Like for someone like me who needs like a little bit more of that, like be more aware of it, but then, have an idea of what you're going to do, but listen to biofeedback and how they're feeling. Like, so as the client, make sure you tell your coach too, of like, if you're like, yes, prep is hard and we always are tired, but like, if you're really like dragging ass and stuff like that, and you're just like, this is just not normal, like you need to say something, because that's kind of where I feel like we could have been a little bit better about, was like, if I was feeling good, because I am very aware of like how my body works and stuff now. And so I think something we could have been better about is like, maybe I didn't need a whole week, maybe just like, especially in like a 12-week prep, maybe you just need like a couple days of just like, okay, let's just take a couple rest days, increase your food a little bit, see how you feel on that third day, send me pictures again, and go from there. Kind of play it by ear, but at the same time have a little bit of an outline, if that makes sense.
I don't think you have to like, I don't really prep clients really anymore. I used to when I was competing more often, but now I have so much functional and perimenopause, menopausal stuff going on. But I would say in my own personal experience, like if I can push through a 12-week prep and like I'm going to get the best results without a diet break, then like I'm not going to take a diet break. But if it's needed, that's what Kayla's saying. Like you just have to have the tools in your toolbox to know as a coach, like, all right, Susan stalled out, like, and she feels like crap. Like we got to up the food for 3 days, 4 days, maybe a week. I feel like a lot of times in prep, you don't have a week. And so Kayla and Jason.
That's where I was coming in. So like having like a full week, because I've definitely have clients, even recently, like I have clients who have felt this way, and I just tell them, okay, you know what, we're going to take the next 2 days. I usually tell them to take off from training. And then I either bump up their macros or I keep their macros the same. Usually I bump them up. But kid you not, like just taking off those 2 days, like getting more rest, a lot of times they respond so well, and I'm like, that's all they needed was just like the 2 days. So I think like where you were coming from, Kayla, though, like, and where Jason was too from coaching, like I think it was, different for you because you had, that you have so much cortisol driven. So coming into that prep, so like you said, working with a coach prior is such a good thing because you guys can learn your body together before just jumping into a prep.
Yeah. I'll say that. So like for me in this prep, I got ready for a photo shoot first. So I think we did cut into my photo shoot. I tried to drop, 8-10 pounds to just feel lean for a shoot, knowing that I was going to go into a prep and then I would be ready to start my prep. And so we did take 2 weeks off where food went back up, not to maintenance, but like I had carbs every day. I was good to go. Like, we took we took 2 full weeks off and then I went into like full prep. And so I won't take a diet break. I mean, I don't have time to take a diet break. And I think it'll be either 10 or 12 weeks just straight through. So, but again, I started, I think about 20 weeks out.
Yeah. See, and I've done before, like this is the longest time I took before like a first show, and I've done 12-week preps before and I've gotten ready. But what happened like 2021 when I got my pro card is, so we did a 12 weeks into that. And then basically after that first show, we started like reversing me basically. And I kept getting leaner and like,
that's what typically happens.
Weird. it was awesome, but it was weird. So like by the time I hit like my 4th show that year and I hit USA's where I got my pro card, I was eating like 1,700 calories and doing like 20 minutes of cardio. And I was like, Jason, are we even in prep right now? And like, it was phenomenal. But then this prep, see, I feel like and this is where it's cool, where, you know, you can assess your preps and like see where things happen. And like what was different is that I think we just kind of took too conservative of approach. Like we kind of pulled it back a little too much, because after that 2021 prep, a couple months later, after it was done, I came back, I had adrenal PCOS. Like, so I had to like kind of go through like a big health phase again. Cause it was just like, okay, like cortisol went really, really high and like, we gotta fix this. So it kind of was like, we needed to find like a happy medium between the 2 preps now, is after looking back at all of it. But at about 5 weeks out, I remember this. I was going to Denver to go visit my friend Amanda, who was on the podcast last week. And I was just I had gained like 3-4 pounds. And I was like, what is going on? Like, why am I gaining? And
this prep?
This prep. And so I checked in and I told Jason, and then he's like, okay, well, you're, you know, out of town this week, you know, let's bump food a little bit, pull training back, just have some fun this week with training. You know, he knew I was out there with Amanda. And so literally bumped it like 40 carbs, and just those extra carbs and like a little bit of rest. Like I dropped like 2 pounds overnight, and then like hit a new low. And it was only like so it was like a Thursday through a Sunday. So it was like 4 days, and that was perfect. And so like stuff like that is where I feel like you need to read your body and understand and learn, and just be like, okay, so maybe we don't need a full week, but maybe, you know, just a few days, then you're feeling better, go from there. And that was that.
And it's a lot easier said when you've done multiple preps, and especially like when we're kind of like at the pro level, it's a lot easier because we've done so many preps that we know our body. It's hard for like a new competitor to understand this. And sometimes, of course, like they don't know the difference between they're just tired because they're dieting, or tired because their body's just like run down. So it's like that, but still communication, I think, is the biggest key, because even like I said, like I had to do that with a couple of clients who are new beginners. I'm like, okay, like I have to like elaborate. I'm like, okay, are you feeling tired? Like, are you just stressed out? Like, or are you just, you know what I mean? You have to ask deeper questions to like figure out the root problem.
Yeah.
The things for me, and you guys can this probably resonates with you too, but I didn't used to know this until I learned the functions of the body. Worked with a functional coach who's also a prep coach. I didn't know when I wasn't sleeping through the night that was, you know, my testosterone had tanked, my progesterone had tanked. Like previous to that, I had a coach that didn't know that. So like, oh, you're just in prep, when you can actually support some of that stuff, but it's also your body telling you a little bit what's going on hormonally. Listen, in a prep, when your food is low, your training's high, like you're going to go through hormonal stuff. Like you just are. Like your hormones are going to tank most likely. You want to do as best as you can to keep things as repaired and like at maintenance as you can, but like it's just going to happen. And we know that. So I think sleep is a big one. Like, how are you sleeping? Are you sleeping through the night? No. Okay. What time are you waking? Are you waking at 3 a.m. every morning? Your progesterone's probably gone. Like, you know, or are you waking up at 1 a.m., 3 a.m.? Cortisol's like on the rise. So like, let's modulate that. Let's take some Cortese, you know, let's do some relax before bed, some sleepy time tea, you know, herbal supplements, things like that. And then like, I know for me, like I was telling you guys before, but like last Wednesday, like it hit hard and my mood shifted. Like when that starts happening, like that is estrogen, like just tanking, I think, you know, like it just like, it's gone. And so like those questions and those symptoms are actually telling you as a coach, like what's going on with your client, but your client's got to tell you what's happening for you to be able to address that stuff. Same thing with the thyroid. If you don't support the thyroid, that's going to tank too. So there's things that you can do through a prep to help it a little bit, but it doesn't mean the last few weeks out aren't going to feel like shit.
Yeah,
right. And like,
if you don't feel like shit your last few weeks, like you're probably not doing it hard enough. Like, honestly.
I mean, yeah, that's true. It is true. I feel so bad because I tell my clients too, like I have a couple that are in their last like final weeks, and same things are going on right now. And I'm like, you know, it's hard because I haven't prepped for 2 years, but I don't miss those feelings, but I do remember them, and that's normal. That is normal. But again, with the sleeping and everything as well, like that definitely is your hormones. And it's hard because it's like a hard fine line, like where, obviously we need to sleep. So we need to get that under control, especially the last 2 weeks. But at the same time, like just know that your hormones are all out of whack.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've never really had issues sleeping during a prep. I'm lucky in that sense. Like when my head hits the pillow, I am out, like out. And I'll wake up to go pee like once or twice a night, but like I'll go right back and just like lay in bed. I only have like a little bit of trouble like when I dropped GH this year, or during prep this time, because the GH I would take it at night and it helped me sleep and really, really good sleep. But then when I dropped it, I didn't have that GH anymore to put me into like REM sleep and deep sleep. I struggled a little bit there, but otherwise, like, this is why we measure things besides just pictures and weight. Like, this is why we ask, like, how are you sleeping and how are you feeling? Are you progressing in training, whether weight, reps, or intensity kind of thing. There's multiple ways to measure things. So that's why it's important to be detailed on these things with your coach. And my biggest pet peeve is when clients are just like, good. What does that mean? Like,
elaborate.
Good doesn't mean anything to me. Like, that should not be in your vocabulary. Like, please don't write good.
Kayla, tell us a little bit about going from the amateur stage, getting your pro card, to competing first time as a pro. What did that
scary as shit. I knew I was going to be small because I'm just a small person, but I knew that going into it, I do have really good shape and proportion and density for how small I am. So I was like, okay, like I'm never going to be able to play the size game, which is fine. There's plenty of girls that win that are not big by any means. Christine Stearns, she won Hurricane and she's like not much taller than me. And she looks phenomenal. Like her shape is amazing and she was peeled. So it was just it was like kind of the same, but not. Like I just kind of went into it with the mindset of like, okay, this is just another show. Like, it's a little intimidating. So I like kind of like muted a lot of pages just because I was like, I don't want to like see or like get in my head about it. Cause I was starting to get into my head like everyone does. But I met a couple girls, that were super nice. Like everyone back there, especially the pros, are just like, we're all kind of like, we already know what to do. Like it was super, honestly, a little bit more chill than like amateur level because we didn't have to like go to a meeting. Like we just they're like, all right, show up at this time. And then like, it was awesome because we got to do pre-judging at like 11 a.m. instead of like 8 a.m.
That's so
and
nice.
Then finals were at like 4. So we were done by like 6:37 both times. And I was like, hell yeah. Like we actually have time to like, I can go shower and then we can go eat and get home at a decent time and not go to bed with like stuff to the brim and like then you don't sleep because you're just like have carbs just pulsing through your body. So it was cool. Both shows I did were ran by Tim Gardner Productions. Did an awesome job. Very well set up. Tanning was awesome. We got cool swag bags both times with like Celsius drinks and like t-shirts. So it's really cool. Like being a pro, like you obviously get like better treatment, you get cooler stuff and whatnot, but
you work your way up to that.
Yeah, you got to work up to it. But it was really, really fun, honestly. And this is the first time though, like getting on stage, you guys, that I wasn't like super nervous. Cause when you get on stage and you just like shake from adrenaline, I didn't shake at all.
Well, that's awesome.
I was like,
really good.
So my posing, I felt the most confident with my posing and my presentation. And that's because I worked with my posing coach, Caitlin, shouting her out. If you guys haven't checked her out, you need to. That since like January, because I was like, I want to like nail this year.
That is the biggest piece too, because if you're like you can have the best physique, but if your posing isn't on point or you don't feel comfortable in your posing, like it can make or break you. And I'm not even joking. Like it's crazy because even like my posing, like I feel good about it, but at the same time, I'm like, I have never been 100% confident. Like it looks fine on stage, you see it, whatever. But like, there's so many things that I want to work on and fix and like perfect that I feel confident in too. And I think it's important to have a posing coach. And even as a pro, we get posing coaches.
Yeah. And even too, like as your body changes too, and it grows, like, and especially like throughout prep, because like me and Kate, like we had talked about like, we're like, okay, we got to see like how like my glutes and hams come in of like how I'm going to like hold my legs because I added a lot of size to my legs this year. So we were like, from what I did 2021, I was like, we might have
Yeah.
to change up just like my foot position a little bit or something, or how I like activate my hamstrings. And we had to wait to adjust it until like a few weeks out because it wasn't lean enough yet to see what was going on. And that's why it's nice to have that second eye and someone to look at you, because it's going to change just like your physique changes, and you're going to have to adjust your posing as your physique grows, to showcase your best looks and everything.
I honestly, I think it's an amateur mistake. It's a rookie mistake to not have a posing coach. Like anybody listening to this that is a competitor, you get a posing coach.
Yep.
Oh, we got Sammy with us right here. If you're bikini, hire Sammy. Like we need a posing coach. Like,
and that's a nice thing. I was just gonna ask you too, Kayla, because okay, well, so for how it works with me and Fit Body Fusion, is I include posing into my sessions. Obviously, I'm an IFBB Pro bikini, and so and I also take bikini competitor clients also like on the side if you just want to do posing. Like I do that as well. We do FaceTime, we can do in person, whichever one you prefer. But the thing is like prior to that, like I had to have so many different coaches too. Like I had a posing coach, a coach, this. So it's like, did you have all you? Because obviously Jason probably didn't pose you, right? So Jason's
No.
your nutrition coach. Okay, so you have so many different coaches for every single different.
Yeah. So
thing.
I actually had like, and this is where like you guys have maybe heard about like, this is an individual sport, but it literally takes a village of people. Like I had 3 coaches. So I had Jason for nutrition and supplements, I had Ryan for training, and then I had Kate for posing. So I was paying 3 people every month. So this is not cheap either. So, but it's
not even as a pro.
no, yeah. Like people think, I feel like sometimes people think that when you're a pro, you just get free coaching. And I'm like, that is not how it works. But yeah, like, so like for my athletes, what I do is I do offer like just one-off coach or posing coaching as well. I do have one person locally. Actually, I work with her in person. And we'll just do some posing and she's wellness. So I usually do wellness and figure. I can do men's physique too. But typically like, especially if they're like a new competitor, like I just had a guy compete in men's physique and he lives in like Wyoming. And I was like, like, I think you need to just find someone in person, because when they're a new competitor, being in person, being able to touch somebody and like, this is where you need to contract your lats, or like how you do a lat spread. That's super important because it's really hard to get it like over like Zoom and stuff like that. So I work with a lot of people locally for posing. Actually, like a lot of my clients too, like I'll include it, if they're figure and stuff like that. If I know how to do their posing, like I do have a classic physique guy, so I like had someone help him with it. But we're actually doing tomorrow like a little group posing session at the gym. I have a few clients that are coming into town, and I was like, hey, let's just like do a whole group posing. So I have like 4 or 5 people coming in, and we're just gonna do some posing, and we're gonna go over it together. And so I just do stuff like that every once in a while. But then once they're in prep, I'll like get on a call with them or like meet them in person and stuff like that and do posing with them too.
All right, Kayla, wait, back to your show, because I don't want to get too far.
Sorry.
All right, let's talk about feedback. What did the judges say from show 1 to 2?
Okay, so show 1, I didn't get feedback, which is kind of sad. I even emailed multiple people, nothing.
Did you wait? Did you ask right away? Like, did you go up to the judges right away afterwards?
No, because we weren't the last ones on. And like what I had been told is that the head judge would come backstage, and they didn't. And then like I heard that some girls waited until like the end of the NPC show, which was like done at like 10 p.m. And we were done at like 6:30. So
with bikini, we just go, either they come in the back or we go up right away after.
The first show, they didn't do that. So I was kind of disappointed, but I also knew like, I was like, I need to be more conditioned. Like I knew it already.
Like I don't need to hear that be more conditioned. I get it.
Yeah. I'm like, And I was just honestly kind of upset and just like, whatever. Like I just need.
You feel backstage, were you already like, I need to be more conditioned? Like, could you feel it? Okay. Cause I've been in that same place.
Yep. So we went out for our like first look, and then we did this thing. We did the like first look or whatever. And then we came back around and I did my individual. And while I was standing there waiting for the rest of the individuals to go, cause I'm about like middle of the bunch. Cause like I'm still registered as like Forcier is my maiden name. because I just like didn't want to change it. And so we came back in and I had my phone and I texted Jason. I was like, how does it look? And he gave me just like a thumbs up. And I said back and I was like, I'm not lean enough. And so I knew it and stuff. And it was horrible. And I just felt like bad. And so I like knew it wasn't going to be good. So I was like prepared for it. It still was like a bummer, but I was like, like, okay, we know, we're just
It's
going to.
really hard. It's really hard. Like your first show ever, honestly, first show as new competitor. It's hard as a first show, honestly, back in it. So for you, Jane, like you're getting back into it. It's even like for me, I know my first show, like it's always been so hard the first show to really get that perfect conditioning, because you get more conditioned as you do shows back to back to back. And this happens not only with you, Kayla, but honestly with a lot of people. It really does. So
Yeah.
even like the best pros, like I could say so many of them that has happened to them this year. And sometimes they aren't even conditioned until the third show. So
Yeah.
it's like at some point, yeah, like at some point you just have to pick a show, you have to go, and it's all about showing up. And like you said, like you knew your feedback and your posing was on point. So that was great. So, you pick out the positives in it too.
Yeah.
So the second show, Hurricane, he came backstage, which was awesome. So I got feedback right away. And I was honestly surprised. Like I still knew I wasn't quite conditioned enough. I knew it was better than the first show. But I knew that that's what he was going to say. So he's like, okay, more conditioning. And then he's like, get your ab wall a little bit more defined. Cause like, I just genetically don't have like blocky abs. So I have to like really work at that. And so just getting more of like deeper cuts, because otherwise it just looks like I have the top two and then it just looks flat. So I really need to like actually train my abs this off season.
That'd be good in bikini.
Yeah. So I'm like,
the opposite problem.
Me too.
God, I
I'm like,
wish.
oh.
God. And so I thought for sure he was going to say he was going to say more shoulders and more glutes, but I asked him, I was like, what about like shoulders? I was like, do I need to, and he's like, nope. He's like, if anything, he's like a little bit, he's like, but you don't want to get too big. He's like, cause you're small. He's like, cause you don't want it to overpower you. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then what I think is going to help too, is like talking to Ryan and Jason too, about like glute density, getting more density there, because then it's going to help with like leaning out, because that was my problem area, was that. And I think, and I've always had issues with just like glute activation anyways. And so, yeah. So I think
Come to Florida. You can train with Brett.
yeah. Sammy, literally, I was like going to text you and be like, hey, like I'm going to come down there and visit sometime and we're going to go to Glute Lab and train, because
I
need
legit
help with
hired
the
a
glutes.
wellness competitor to train me 2 times a week, because I'm doing glutes 3 times a week. And I'm at my last leg here, you guys. And like, I've been doing so much glute activation work.
Mhm.
So I was like, you know what? I was like, I need you to train me for the next 5 weeks. Well, probably 4, but
Yeah.
it's so hard.
Yeah. Glutes is
It
hard.
makes such a difference, but it makes such a difference when you're training the right way and when you have somebody guiding you, because I feel like a lot of times we're training on our own, which is great. It's a great starting point and stuff. But if you're trying to get to that next level, or to even activate a muscle that's like hard to get activated, like it could be the smallest tweak. And I've learned this from Brett. Like he literally, like I posted a couple different things about it. He literally like twisted my hips a different movement, and I hit the abductors way better. I'm like, oh my God, it was just like that tiny little tweak. And I'm like, oh wow, I actually feel it in the right place,
Yep. Same thing with Ryan. Like this weekend, we were at the American Pro and we went and trained. And so I was having some issues with like my lower back, squatting and deadlifting. And so we just stopped doing it, because I was like, there's no point in doing this if it just hurts. Like I don't need to do it, but I enjoy those lifts and they do help with like glute growth. So we want to be able to incorporate
it. Back.
Yeah. So he just like helped me quick with just like some bracing stuff, and he just like grabbed my waist and he was like, push into me, and I did. I was like, oh, that's how it's supposed to feel. And so Monday when I squatted, I did that, and guys, like my abs were sore from that, and I was like, that's never happened before. So just like you said, the little things like that. But I'm really excited actually. And I was gonna say Monday I was like, this is like a bikini girl workout. I was like, I feel like I'm doing so much glutes right now.
Oh my God,
I
I
had
love
like
glutes.
glute thrusters and I had like kickbacks, and I was like, oh man, I was like, we're gonna grow a bikini booty.
for me.
Oh yeah, let's do it. But honestly, building your glutes, like again, like you need that density in no matter what category, because when you cut down, you're cutting down so much. Even bikini, like you have to almost get like, I shouldn't say huge, but like basically my goal is to get a huge butt right now. So I can like muscle, obviously, but like build that muscle so you can have the density. So when you do cut down, you're just literally cutting down the fat and obviously a tad bit of muscle. But
because I feel like, especially as females, especially with like big butts being a thing, like a lot of people don't have muscle in their butt. It's body. It's like, like females carry estrogen in their lower. That's like estrogen dominance, right?
Oh
so
yeah.
if you're not activating your glutes, then you could just be adding extra body fat on from your extra calories and not growing them. And so like that's what happened to me too, as I started to cut. We were like, hold on, your entire body has responded to training except your butt. Now, you guys know this, and I think some of the listeners may know, I had back surgery a year ago. So the whole probably year prior, when I was in a lot of sciatic pain, which runs right straight through your glutes, there's a little muscle in there, the piriformis, it like cuts through that. And so I thought I was having piriformis syndrome, but I had all this, whatever. Anyway, I probably wasn't fully activating my glutes for 2 years. And then
your body was compensating for it.
My back and my hamstrings. So my hamstrings are fine once I lean out, and my lower back, though, you guys, was on, it doesn't hurt anymore when I train. And I'm like, oh my God, I was using my back, not my actual butt. So I've been doing like little glute primers and activators every single day now since this prep started. I work with my girlfriend who's a physical therapist, and we were doing sessions together because I literally, my brain wasn't talking to my butt.
Yeah,
and it's so hard to get that activation when you've never felt it before, because then it's like, well, what am I supposed to feel? And so like,
and when you feel it, you feel it. You know how Jason described it to me? He said it should almost feel like a bruise. Like, you know how like that, like when you have like a bruise that you touch, you almost feel that when you're like pumping your glutes. And then once I felt that, I like had that cue, I was like, I haven't been activating my glutes for like 2 years.
It's crazy because that goes with like any muscle group. Like even like another big one is like the rear delts. Like that's a hard one to hit.
That's another hard one.
Rear delts. Like, I always get lats too. Lats are always a hard one because lots of people want to do like this, and then their traps take over. So that's a big one.
That's the same thing with lateral raises. People use their traps and they're like up here, and actually growing the side of their shoulder. I know. All right, so okay, hold on. Let's finish up.
We're getting on tangents.
I know. I was all excited. All this is good information. All right, so what else? Anything else about your pro experience? It sounds like there was some really great stuff that happened.
Honestly, overall, it was a really great first season. Like and I do have to say, like that first show, getting fourth call outs and getting last call outs was a really good kick in the ass to be like, all right, I want this and it's not going to come easy, and I don't want it to be easy either. So if I had gotten like second or thirds, I would have just been kind of like, all right, like that's cool, like good enough. Like we're just going to try to get a little bit better next time. But like, no, I was like pissed, and I was like, I do not want to feel this again. Like no way am I getting last call outs ever again, kind of thing. And so it just was a nice little like motivator to keep going and like why I love doing this. And then like this prep was hard. Like there was a lot of personal things in life that happened, you know, throughout this prep too. And I'm not going to get into any of that. But I mean, you guys know it, but everyone else doesn't need to know. Anyways, but just like getting through it and finishing strong like I did, I'm really proud of myself for that, even though it's not like the best look I've ever had, I guess, like conditioning wise. But the look overall for my second show for a hurricane, loved it. I was very happy. I got to do the hurricane with one of my really good friends, Mike. And it was his pro debut, and he got fourth out of like 30 guys in classic.
How many competitors were in your class?
I think there was 32.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, like it's, and which is fun to me because being like class A all the time, like there's like 3 to 5, like that's like, so it's just like, okay, like, you know, it's pretty, especially at like a regional show, you're like, well, I think as much as it, like, I don't want this to sound like come off as bad, but like, well, I think I already know who's going to win. Like, you know,
it is hard being short, but
yes. So that's like the problem when you're on 2 being short, but It was fun. There was no girls that were like catty or anything like that. Like I think some people think that there are, and I got to be on stage with Olympians. That's
Wow.
It's
really
so
fucking
cool.
cool. Like super cool. Everyone was nice, helpful. Um, just all the community I've had too around it, like the friends that came to visit, you know, and stay with us and stay
Yeah.
with me and like come support me and stuff like that. That was like freaking awesome. Like it just feels so good to have that support and this essentially like a hobby that I love to do. You know, it just feels awesome. So I'm excited to keep growing. I feel like overall it was a good first like pro season. And it just motivates me to work harder and be ready for next time.
You also have gained so much amazing size. Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
your small frame, like that's like, I mean, I didn't know you prior, but I've seen your pictures prior. Like, Kayla, you can see the difference in the lean tissue growth. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
huge. So like you should be proud of all of that and just stepping on the pro stage. Like Sammy said, like you sometimes just have to start somewhere, right? Like it's almost like starting over again. Like you push, and now it's like, okay, I'm starting over again. But I think it was a really solid first season for you.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
that was my goal was like, you know, I had taken 2 years off and I knew I had put on good tissue and stuff like that. And so it was just kind of like, okay, let's get on stage, see where I stack up, but like not just do it just to do it, but like also like I want to come at it like I was trying to like do my best, of course. Like it's just not like, oh, I'm just happy to be here kind of thing. Like, no, like I'm still
Mhm.
gonna be competitive. But now that I've had this size, like we can go into this off season and I can kind of like maintain a little bit lighter weight. I don't have to gain as much as I did before. And now I can just like let this muscle get denser. And I think that's going to help a lot too for next time. So I'm
Think about
excited.
And
because
if anything,
you
it
have
does motivate you more. Like when you don't get like obviously it's hard to get first call outs, honestly, your first season. But like again, I got second call outs all three of my shows in my pro season. And I think that motivated me more to like actually take this off to take a health phase one, because I kept showing up the same way. But
Mhm.
two, like now I'm like actually taking this improvement season so much more serious. Not that you never did. Like I feel like you did, Kayla, but like a lot of
Oh,
people
I
don't.
totally did.
yeah,
Mhm.
you
And
can.
so it's like now I'm just like I'm getting like antsy in a sense where I'm like I'm so excited to get back on stage
Yep.
just to see the difference and to hopefully like be competitive. Like I'm going back on stage to be competitive. Like you know what I mean? Like so it's just like
Yep.
it's different. I
Yep. I
think
hear you.
after you get your feet wet.
Two
Yep.
things you guys brought up. One, a reminder to everyone listening, to gain muscle, you will be putting on body fat as well. So
Yeah.
like what Kayla was talking about is like she had to add size, but she had to add body fat to add size. So now we've got the lean tissue. So you probably don't have to add as much body fat. You can stay a little bit leaner while focusing on the density. And then I just lost my train of thought. Sammy, you said something too that I wanted to talk about. Oh, this is bodybuilding. Like you have to have muscle. And I
Mhm.
think that's like what's so hard for me, especially as a bikini competitor going from natural to NPC, is that you still see these posts of just small people getting
Yeah.
on stage. And it's like, no, you even bikini competitors are coming in jacked. Like,
It's like they're small, but they're pure muscle. So it's like I just went through like a cut, and then now I'm like starting to eat more again and build more. And so now I'm trying to work towards that density right now. And I do feel like I am getting a little fluffy, but it's like, like it's such a mental thing too. Cause I'm like, okay, but I know what you just said. Like, I literally need to hear that, because you saying like you can't just be lean and build muscle. I mean, yeah, I guess you could, but like it would take a long time. But
This
it's
takes
like
way
you
too
have to put
long.
on, yeah, you have to put on some
Yep.
body fat, and like obviously a healthy amount of body fat. But it's like mentally, I'm like, oh no, like I'm not shredded like I just was a couple weeks ago. Like not even like I was shredded, but
Honestly,
you know.
that like mindset too about like I need to stay 10 pounds above stage weight. The best thing I did last off season was say fuck the scale, and I just like was like I'm just letting my body do what it wants to do, and I just like ate what was supposed to. If I was hungry, I'd eat more. I stopped worrying about like going out to eat so much. Like it wasn't like so focused on it, and like I would even find myself just being like I don't really like feel like having a cheat meal this week because I was already eating so much food, and I just didn't worry about the scale. And then like now that's also carried over into this reverse, which has been like I'm only a week and a half post show. I'm up like from stage, like 7.5 pounds.
So talk to us a little bit real quick about your reverse. Did you do the flush or what are you doing?
Yes. So my reverse, guys, I went from, I'll just kind of keep it brief. But my reverse, I went from protein veggie days with like one refeed day. So it was like 650, 700 calories, and then like maybe like 1600 calories for a refeed day every like fourth, fifth day. I bumped it right up to 2300 calories. I was like, I ain't wasting time because I am hungry and I want to get into off season. So
when you say that though, were you doing the flush with the 2300 calories?
yes,
or
so I'm on the flush right now. So I'm doing about 95 protein, about 300 carbs, and about 75, 80 fats for the day. And I've literally, and so like after the show, I had Sunday, Monday to just kind of like have like free days. I didn't like go ham or anything or like that. Like I had treats, I had food, but I wasn't like an asshole. And then I got back, started on that. And then I traveled to Virginia from Thursday night to Sunday morning, throughout Sunday through the day. And so that whole weekend, like I brought food with me, but I honestly didn't track anything or weigh anything. I didn't weigh my food, didn't track it. Still got training in, got tons of water. We went out to eat like 3 times. So I had sushi, I had brownies, I had a cookie or 2, probably more like 2. I had tacos and chips and salsa. I had a couple drinks. I came back Monday, I was 2 pounds heavier. And then today I'm right back down to 117.4. And I've been eating that much food, didn't have to track anything over the weekend, and I feel phenomenal. So, getting your food up right away has been so helpful for me. And like, I really like, I don't have this mindset of like, okay, like have to stay as close to stage weight as possible for as long as possible. I'm like, no, let's just gain the weight and just get to my set point and be like good to go. Like I'm ready.
And I think that comes with experience. I can even tell you guys, like in this prep, I'm not food focused at all. Like it's just not, I'm not like, oh my God, I need Rice Krispies and brownies and cookies. Like I'm in it because like I've done this so many times at this point. Like my next meal is the fuel to get me through the next few hours. And I also know, and I'm so thankful for the off season that I took because I got to a place where my body felt good. I had decent body fat, but still looked good. Like I felt like I was walking around the gym still looking like a competitor. Like people were
you
like,
look awesome in your off season, Jane. Heck
so
yeah.
like I feel like Kayla, I'm glad you're ahead of me in this because like I think when I come out of it too, like it's good to have the support to know like, no, I can get up to like 1800, 1900, 2000 calories pretty quick and my body not freak out because I've got the right people with me and the right mindset. I can't tell you how many times I have to talk to clients about mindset and how it will mess you up and will hold you back because your body has a response.
Yes. Like what we talked about with Amanda on the last episode, like it is so true. Like, because you brought up a good point about food focus. And like, I was also like not food focused the whole time up until like the time in between my shows, because my food was actually so low. Like I was legit so hungry. And I would wake up in the middle of the night to go pee and I'd sit there and scroll through Pinterest. And I'm like, why am I scrolling through Pinterest? But like
another 3 weeks, I'll probably be there.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Jane, I think you're not at that point just yet.
It is.
But that is really cool that you haven't been food focused up until now. So that's awesome.
It's so normal for that to happen. And like, we need to normalize that. Like what we talked about with Amanda last week is that it is okay. It's just your body's physiological reaction to being actually hungry. And so as soon as like prep was done, like I got off stage like from prejudging and it just was like, okay, I'm done. And like I immediately had some relief and like I didn't like feel like I needed to just like go eat everything in sight. Like granted, I had Chick-fil-A like right away after because I got third call outs and I was like, well, I'm gonna have a burger. So I had Chick-fil-A and it was fantastic. And then we went out to dinner and we went to this like sushi place. And so I got like 2 rolls of sushi, some sweet potato fries, and like a little appetizer. It was just like 4 little things. And I ate like half of it and I didn't even finish it all.
Because your stomach was so small.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm full. Like, I don't want to feel gross. First time competitors, even second, third time competitors will still go and gorge themselves until they get sick. I've been there too. But you gotta learn the hard way sometimes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm so excited for your pro debut and the season. I think it was really good, and it's exciting to hear kind of the reverse of it. I'm up next, so we'll see.
I know, I was gonna say you're up next.
So we'll be recapping my first NPC experience.
Hell yeah. I also wanted to note that I've had some inquiries already about like what I'm doing for reversing and stuff. So I am planning on like putting together like a little webinar of like what I'm doing and like how to like reverse yourself. So I'm taking myself through it first. So that way I can get like all the data, I guess you want to call it, and put stuff together. And then I'll be announcing that on my Instagram page of when we're going to do that. Probably sometime like end of November, December, something like that. But
Awesome.
I will post that up as well. But yeah, so does that wrap everything up for today?
Yeah, it's good.
I think so.
All right, cool. Again, if you guys listening have any questions for any of us, if you have any other post show or like prep type questions, shoot me a DM. Questions for Jane about her show, questions for Sammy, shoot us a DM. We always are open for you guys, and we're just here to help out and share our experiences and learn. So with that, we are out, and we will be back here again next time. So have a good week, guys.
Bye.